You bring your phone everywhere. Work, school, the movies. Now you can bring it to an Xfinity store for an easy way to switch to Xfinity Mobile, a new kind of network designed to save you money. You can get up to 5 lines of talk and text included with Xfinity Internet at no extra cost, so all you pay for is data. It's never been easier to switch to Xfinity Mobile and keep the phone you love. Click here to see how. Sorry, I gotta take this. Restrictions apply. Limited to select mobile phones. Requires activation of a new line of Xfinity Mobile. Up to 5 devices per account. New Xfinity Internet customers limited to up to 2 lines pending activation of Internet service.
I get the feeling that they heard rock, and they were hearing about rock. This is the 80s. People were talking about crack. They assumed it was still the music, and that's what they made this movie big. Because he's going like, I never realized how dependent I was on rock. Like, that makes perfect sense if we're talking about crack.
He's just taking witness statements from, like, the 1980s Harlem. It's like, yeah, man, they kill their moms because of the rock.
God-awful movies.
Welcome back to the GAMcast, where each week we sample another selection from Christian cinema in hopes that we get eternally tortured by one of the real pro-demons. I'm your host, Noah Lugeons, and sitting to my immediate left is my good friend Heath Enwright. Heath, welcome back.
Thank you, Noah. This better be fun, by the way. I was going to do meth with some 12-year-olds and rock out to Kenny G today. I canceled for this. So, this better be good.
I don't think we're going to be able to make up for that.
That's going to make sense in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, right,
That
right,
is
yeah,
gonna
exactly,
pay
exactly.
off
You have to
that
listen to
joke.
the episode twice to totally get
It's like
that
a Kirk
joke.
Cameron movie.
And sitting 989 miles to my right, you've already heard him. He's my bad friend Eli Bosnick. Eli, how are you this fine afternoon, sir?
Not great. Heath said he was going to do meth with me and some of my friends earlier. Now canceled for the record. I guess we'll do this instead. Whatever.
Trust me, on the second go, this is going to be really funny. And before we even get to this week's movie, not that you guys already kind of haven't hinted around a little bit, how excited are you for the first ever live recorded God Awful Movies?
Oh, I can't wait. We're going to be doing Passion of the Christ.
Oh, yeah.
August 12th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the People's Improv Theater. If you're not our fan on Facebook, you can go on. There's an event there, and you can check out the thing. We'll also have it in the show notes. Just announced today, we're going to have 2 people who do not know each other fucking live on stage during the live record.
Wait, I'm sorry, fucking live on stage?
Yes.
At the pit, everybody
Yes.
gets laid.
Yes.
All right, I haven't heard about the full penetration.
It's okay.
portion
I already
of
said
this.
it. Said it out loud.
Well, now we can't take it back, even in the
All
edit.
right, that is locked in. That's official.
And also a quick note to all our patrons at the $10 level or above, you get not only free tickets, but you also get VIP tickets to the show. We're going to have a meet and greet before the thing. If you need to get your ticket, if you're going to be in New York around about August 12th, 7 to 9 p.m., you can email Eli or you can message our Facebook page, the God Awful Movies Facebook page, and we'll take care of getting your tickets and getting you set up. But enough about what we'll be breaking down. Then, Heath, what will we be breaking down today?
All right. We watched Rock, It's Your Decision, which is a Christian propaganda movie about a small town that learns about the evils of rock and roll music. So it's basically Footloose, except Kevin Bacon is really good at not dancing.
Yeah.
And he uses that lack of talent to rally the entire community of young people behind him and keep dancing illegal, just like John Lithgow wanted. It's backwards Footloose about rock music. Ear tight.
Yeah, pretty much. And Eli, how bad was this movie?
Well, if you've ever thought to yourself, man, I love Nazi propaganda films, but the protagonists are too likable, then you're gonna love Rock, It's Your Decision. This is a movie about a loser who ruins everyone's good time, and then everyone hates him, and then it's over. Like, that is the movie. You keep waiting for the denouement where everyone's like, you know what? I realized, blah. Never happened.
Nope.
He shouts at a room full of teenagers, and they're all like, fuck that guy. And then the movie is over. They have a stunt double break a record, and the movie, it's over.
Not like a Guinness record, like an LP.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. An evil devil rock music one. And I love, okay, so this movie is set, or it's not set, it was made in 1982. And this is doubly hilarious because for our patrons this week, we did a bonus edition of the 2015 classic Pixels, which was all about trying to like instill nostalgia for 1982 and really radically, amazingly failed in that endeavor. This movie had me more nostalgic for 1982 in 41 seconds than that movie managed. That's the only nice thing I'm going to say about this movie, by the way. Well, I'll have some compliments for the music here and there. So is there anything you guys would like to nominate this one for being the best at being the worst at?
How about convincing me of its message? Can I go with convincing me of its message?
Yeah, getting its point across. That's,
you know how much you should hate rock? We're going to play a bunch of really great music throughout this movie and then compare it to our shitty How Great Thou Art music and never acknowledge it.
Yeah, they were constantly accidentally making the point opposite the one they were hoping to make. Heath, any nominations?
I'm going to say best worst establishing shots, which are about half the movie. It's about half the movie. We'll get there.
Yeah, 53 minutes long, and about 50% of it is establishing shot. All right, well, this week's movie may or may not contain vital soul-saving information, so I don't want to keep you in suspense for too long, but we're going to pause for a quick break anyway, and when we come back, we'll break down all the mixed messages that are rock. It's your decision. We got a 5-star review on iTunes recently, and while we appreciate all our 5-star reviews, this fan added a few choice words for yours truly in his assessment of the show. His review, titled, Eli is a Genius Comedian, so far so good, reads, This is my favorite podcast currently. It's not for everyone, though, because you have to patiently wait for Noah to stop talking. He is that guy you know who likes to say otolaryngologist just to show off he can.
You just did it again.
There, just now. So, thanks, I guess, for all the stars and shit. For that, I won't point out that if a person was trying to show off their fancy pronunciation skills, they'd probably go with otorhinolaryngologist rather than otolaryngologist. But we do want to address the point that the listener made, and I want to do so without offending him or her with my vocabulary.
Right. So if you don't like it when we use really big words, please remove your left headphone now.
And if you don't like it when we substitute little words when big words are available, please remove your right headphone now.
And if you think the size of our words doesn't matter, feel free to leave in both headphones and get double the entertainment.
I should start by conceding that this commenter isn't the first to point to my appetency for use of logophilic prolix, fancy words, as substantiation evidence that I'm euphuistic, an asshole. And as a professional raconteur, word sayer, I take any opprobrium shit about my ability to efficaciously communicate real good seriously. That being said, this vituperation bullshit wasn't directed at my perspicuity, ability to be easily understood without using way more words than are necessary, but rather at my rectitude, baby mama.
Right. But when the cinematic oeuvre, moving picture, that we're expostulating on, mean words saying about, requires that we mention an otorhinolaryngologist, a head-hole doctor, and Noah happens to have an apropos appellation in mind, a good word in his brain mouth, why would you pass up on a hippopotomonstrosesquipedalian big word like otorhinolaryngology, that fancy word with the rhino in it? Especially when doing so, doesn't derogate, minus from, any of the aforementioned lucidity, stuff we said before about the ability to be easily understood without using way more words than are necessary, and therefore making sentences go on way longer than they really need to if we were willing to occasionally look up words that you hear from people what read good and stuff.
Now the nuclear option would be to incapacify, stop him every time he used a word with more than 2 syllables. But anything we did to reconfastabate, change, Noah's natural speech would intercrastably, totally, sacramentize, get rid of, a lot of the conjunctural chemistry that makes the show work.
Of course, I try to counterpoise, balance my proclivity for love of grandiloquence, talking like an asshole, with a commodious application lot of scatological vernacular, poop jokes. But I'll admit that sometimes I let my verbosity, vocabulary, get the best of me.
Moreover, also, Noah's raison d'etre, whole thing on this show is less jocularity, funnyin', and more elucidative, explainy. After all, somebody has to recapitulate, say words about, the plot points of these movies. And those things generally aren't risible, laugh-you-making.
So if there's any lingering anger over the vocabularizing words in this dark show that have undercated, lessened your enfination enjoyment, we sincerely apologize. Are sorry.
And finally, on a personal note to the reviewer, go inseminate fuck yourself, you supercilious, douche-gargling, equus sinus jackass. All right. Feel free to put your right, left headphone back in now.
I did correct words both times.
And we're back for the breakdown, and we're going to open up this anti-rock music movie at a rock concert that looks very awesome and sounds really good.
Yeah, bad job, movie.
This music is a good reason to decide on rock and roll.
Yeah. Good thing it's our decision. It's just so weird that they use so much good rock and roll in this movie to get you to, it's like somebody who wants to talk to you about not using drugs, but he wants to do it high.
He's like, here, man, you want to know how bad pot is? Take a hit of this. Yeah, it's Pineapple Express, man. You ever feel that way? No, it feels great, right? No side effects. Literally, seriously, if you vape it, you're fine. You're fucking fine. Every day of your life, doesn't fucking matter. The Beatles. You want to be like the Beatles? There you go. Anyway, so don't do that.
Don't do that.
It was fun to meet the antagonist right away, which is C, F, and G in 4/4 time.
And the other thing is, this movie is an anti-rock movie, but someone very clearly had good taste in music.
Yes.
That made it. Because they didn't just pick, like, the popular hits of songs at the time. They picked some underground stuff. They picked some good stuff, some deep cuts. So it's like, there's obviously a music fan here, and they were like, you know, Brian, you used to be super into rock, right? Would you be willing to listen to some music? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes, I will. Sure. I need 28 hours with all my old albums and not to see my fat wife. That you assigned me.
Yeah, right. Got the broken Stepford wife.
Man, he's really working hard on this movie.
And so then we fade from this rock concert over to a suburban house, and we can hear the music playing inside the house, and we can hear a mother yelling and screaming at Jeff to turn that junk down.
Yeah, because which life do you want? That rock concert that had people swaying together in joy and bliss with beautiful music cascading over them? Or a mother who's gonna scream up the stairs at you about the sounds she can hear that she doesn't like? Checkmate, not rock and roll.
Yeah, it sounds like a mother and son are having a fight, like, into a microphone somewhere in this house that we're looking at from the outside.
Well, right.
My note to the movie here was, we, the audience, are already outside. You, the movie, know this because your cameras are shooting from outside. Not a big deal.
So he yells at his mom, must be the rock and roll making him do that, and then he jumps in his car and puts a cassette tape into his car stereo, and all of a sudden I'm way more nostalgic for the 80s than I ever was during Pixels. And my music note here is like, fuck, I really thought I would have a lot of bad music notes in this movie, but it's not looking that way.
Yeah, that's some good music. Excellent.
Yeah. It was called Can't Walk on the Water, by the way. It was the name of the track he puts in. Very subtle.
Now, question. Did all cars sound like someone was raping a duck when you started them in the 80s? Because he turns on his car and it's like, and it's like, no, Quacky. Shouldn't have worn that not anything because you're a duck.
It's obviously asking for it.
It was a very accurate duck rape sound, I gotta tell you.
Thank you. Lots of practice. You gotta hear it a lot.
I want to point out that female ducks' bodies actually do have a system that shuts that whole thing down if they get raped. That's probably where Todd Aiken... No, that actually is true. I think that's where Todd Aiken got it, as he was fucking ducks, and he's like, you know what? I never seem to impregnate these ones that are unwilling, so...
You need to make this articulated somehow.
Question, if there was a half duck, half Todd Aiken, how would we know? Like, how you tell that's not half person, half
Which
duck?
Bathroom should he be allowed to use?
Well,
I think that's an important question we should be asking.
That's so much better than my breadcrumbs joke. All right, so we'll move right on. So he drives away. Mom runs after him. He almost gets in a wreck because of all that rock and roll.
Right, and Jeff looks like he made it to the last callback for Happy Days.
Doesn't he, though? Yeah.
I have him as taxidermy Emilio Estevez.
It looks just like him, right? I mean,
Stuffed
yeah,
Emilio Estevez.
except all dead and full of stuff. Yeah. just like him.
Yeah. So we go back inside. Mom is making some tea here, and while she's doing that, she gets a call from every movie's commercial airline pilot. And apparently this is Dad. He won't be able to make it home on the early flight because business.
Right.
So
Mom looks like someone surprised Sally Fields forever.
I have a Sally Fields bobblehead.
that's about
Her
right.
head and haircut, they look like they add up to a lot of weight. It's like Darth Vader's helmet just bobbing around. Looks very tiring for her neck.
Again, making me nostalgic for the 80s. So Mom's talking to Dad over the phone. She's like, well, I had another fight about Jeff's music with him again, and he left screaming and yelling to go to church. The kid was going to church. And at first I thought we were going to see him like drinking beers at a party and like, oh, Mom thought he was at church, but no.
Nope.
He actually was going to church in a huff.
Yep, he does just go to church in a huff. And throughout this scene, she's just constantly reminding her husband, like, I'm a bad mom. I just cannot talk to my son. Should we go to that guy who's probably raping him and see if he can talk him out of music? And he's like, I don't care. I'm going to finish slathering this Filipino boy in coconut oil as soon as I get off the phone with you. Just as soon as I get off the phone with you. My hands are drenched.
Business. So, but that's the thing though, and this comes up so often in this movie, is like the mom's like, yeah, I screamed and yelled at Jeff about an arbitrary thing that doesn't matter, and he seems upset by it. What should I do? And no one ever says maybe not yell at him about this arbitrary shit. That never comes up.
Ever. At any point. Also, question, why did she glue her cell phone to the wall? Did she lose it a lot? And that's why she...
We like to do that back in the 80s. We glued our cell phones to the
Fucking
wall. We also
millennials,
put
I
our...
hate you.
Cool, I like
Put
it.
our
Retro.
iPods in these giant boxes full of knobs. You'll see
Oh,
one
that
later.
comes up later, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and by the way, okay, so the mom says, perhaps I should call youth pastor Owens and get him to talk to Jeff about it. That's not enough, right? Implying that she's going to call him is not enough. We would have left that scene going, well, did she call him or what? So apparently we have to linger on this scene long enough for her to hang up the phone and then call Pastor Owens, who looks like Matthew Broderick's gay uncle, to talk to him about all that evil rock and roll music.
Yeah, he looks like Jason born with too many chromosomes.
That's our second character in different movies that should have been called Jason Bourne Again. Nice.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Pastor Owens looks like someone's first attempt at painting Matt Damon.
I thought he kind of looked like Mike Birbiglia, but he got cloned using stem cells from Porky Pig.
There was definitely a porcine thing going on.
Little
in
Mike
this look,
Birbiglia
yeah.
going on for sure. Looks like angry birds often catapult themselves in his house. He has a lot of problems with that.
Stop it, kids. For the last time, it's just an iPhone game.
So now we're going to go over to a church and we're going to get one of these long establishing shots that Heath has already alluded to, while we get a creepy sermon from the Charles Atlas Before picture. And this scene, okay, so they pan out. It's kind of like the Raiders of the Lost Ark scene at the end, but instead of boxes, it's ugly people as they pan over this fucking church. I wrote in my notes, I'm like, if we slowed this thing down, we could make an 11-hour episode just by asking Eli to describe this entire crowd.
And I could.
Oh, it's like, the next pew couldn't possibly be uglier than this one. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do the whole episode on this room's physical appearance and then at the end be like, he likes rock and roll, then he doesn't, he breaks a record, gross.
We should have gone with that in the notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Draco Malfoy is preaching.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Estes Sperkle Jr. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm just writing, imagine how much collective pubic hair is in this room. Just think about that for a second. But everybody's got a little tribble under their dress. It's terrible. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So and then we pan back to the back of the church where this Marty, who looks like the love child of Gary Shandling and Rhea Perlman, is bitching about all the church at this church and how it's stupid.
Yeah, he looks like gay Schubert.
Looks like Vincent D'Onofrio got abducted by the Brady Bunch as a kid. Raised
He looks
in that
like
house.
Jason Segel fucked John Belushi.
All right. That nailed it.
Extremely accurate.
Holy shit. even down to the penis, as we'll find out later. So
Yes.
and
Yes, we will.
we'll get to Marty's penis. Oh, believe me, we're going to talk about Marty's penis.
Yeah.
I feel like we're not the first people that have said that. I feel like multiple people have said that.
See, that needs to be the teaser now, just because people are like, oh, really? Okay, awesome. So, and also, I should note, by the way, that he's bitching at the only attractive person in the room.
I mean,
Well, kind of.
stripper named Tara Fawcett.
Yeah,
like,
well, that,
something like
that level of attractive.
That's what her name would be. She was a stripper.
So-
Stripper.
And we,
I wasn't ready. Go.
point out
Name's
the
not really Tara Fawcett.
It's so real. It's so real.
so,
I'm so sorry. I can't. It's because you can see the name on the door. I just hear some DJ announcing some fucking REO Speedwagon.
Coming to the stage at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Tara Fawcett.
Tara Fawcett? Oh no, they said Tara Fawcett.
Make it
Okay.
rain for Tara. No, okay.
Get your ones out. Oh.
all right. So, and I also think we should point out, although it's going to be a huge letdown after the Tara Fawcett joke, clearly, exactly what it is that Marty is bitching about. Now, keep in mind, this is the guy who will be proven wrong in this movie. He's saying, I wish they would preach about something other than how bad our music is every single week. That's the guy who will be wrong.
Yeah. And we also learned they're only here for the food.
Yeah, right. Tara's only there for the awesome after party. Yeah.
Right.
Also, okay, so, and then Jeff, the taxidermied Emilio Estevez that we met earlier, is right next to these people having a voiceover with God.
Yeah, he's super conflicted. Should I love rock music or should I be an asshole?
Right.
Exactly.
Guide me, Jesus.
That's the stakes of this film right there. And I also love during his little internal monologue here, he's going like, yeah, I'm very sorry I yelled at Mom, Jesus. I don't know why I feel like this. And we're like, yep, it's the rock and roll, isn't it? That's what it's going to be.
I so expected this monologue to be like, and Marty gives me tingles in my downstairs. Can we talk about that? Just a flash cut to Jesus being like, no, 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 no. No, Jeff.
So then we cut to the killer after party with the youth group. And so I want to just point this out. This scene starts with all of the people gathered around together, drinking punch, and the first person they address is Brother Jim. This was made after the Jonestown Massacre, guys. This is not a coincidence here. That was 78, this was 82. They already knew what drinking the punch and talking to Brother Jim meant.
I'm just saying that Time article never mentioned the potato salad. I would have been much gentler on the whole Jonestown thing if I knew there was potato salad and poisoned Kool-Aid.
Right.
Is that paprika? No, arsenic. Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Good touch.
Good touch.
Paragon.
Do the kids first. Hard lessons. Hard lessons. And I'll tell you all about it at Reason Rally. Don't worry. Figure it out. We're supposed to all kill ourselves at Reason Rally, right? I've been spending very badly the past week, so I need someone to tell me right now if we weren't supposed to kill ourselves.
Well,
at
but I
Reason
don't
Rally.
want to say no in case Ray Comfort is listening.
That's true.
So yeah, we just
Gonna touch his face. Stronger than him. Stronger than him. That's just what it's gonna come down to.
who wants it more?
Bunch of people hearing this episode now are gonna be hearing it for the first time because they read about me on Pathos. Guy who touched Ray Comfort in the hot knot spot.
Man licks Ray Comfort's eyeball.
Get off me! Get him off me! Get him off! No! Give me the strength of a crocodile, Lord! Give me the strength of a crocodile!
I just want to point out that God Awful Movies does not endorse or condone the licking of Ray Comfort's eyeball against his will. Or if he asks, to be perfectly honest with you, we don't, neither way. Oh, shit. All right. So anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah. So Jeff was at the cool after party, and he wants to tell Jimmy Olsen how awesome the sermon was, but one of his friends wants him to hear some rock and roll music, so he runs off to do that instead.
But that's okay, because we're about to get some intro to some mom-son incest porn.
This movie made me lube up for no reason so many
I did it for
times.
a reason. So many times. We're coming up on number one. Anyway, I'll let you know as we go. This was one.
I had 4. So mom, we introduced the scene. Mom's like, so how was youth group? He's like, it's okay. 2 kids got saved. That's his actual line. And I'm thinking to myself, what a ridiculous admission of how full of shit they know they are.
Right.
2 kids were going to burn in hell for 1,000,000 eternities, and they no longer will. Meh.
I was 2 for 4 with an RBI. No big deal. 2 kids are going to hell, but still, pretty good. Hall of Fame numbers. Don't be technical.
So yeah, and he apologizes for being mean to his mom on the way out of the door. Mom forgives him. That should be the end of that, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, show mommy how sorry you are. I know how this goes. He starts to jerk off. She comes in, no, let mommy do that for you. Yeah, I get it. Deep web. But it doesn't happen, so I just wrote bullshit.
Right, yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, fuck, I might as well rub that on my elbows. They actually chafe. Fuckers.
And then, and I have a question here, he appears to take the front of a Ford Focus, put a small square save icon into it, press somewhere between 40 and 75 button. Is that a computer? Is what he operates to make music a computer? Is it an abacus?
It is.
Back then.
It is a musical abacus. You're correct. That's right.
Seriously, he does everything except pour gasoline in it. Fucking crank the front.
Led Zeppelin.
I love it. My fucking note here is, that's a sweet fucking stereo.
It's like the next room over has most of it containing the tubes.
Yeah, right. All the vacuum tubes are over there.
What do you want to listen to? Let me throw in some sweet tunes on these punch cards.
I would so kill to have that stereo system right now. I missed that. Everybody who was flat broke had a fucking $2,000 stereo in their house.
You can go to Best Buy and steal one of those, what can do that amount of sound, and they don't even care.
No, I know.
You can grab a box and they'll just be like, don't.
Come on, man.
Don't.
Right. So yeah, he fires up his gramophone and he lays down and he listens to, this time the song was, I think, The Devil is Sneaking Into Your Life.
Oh, really?
Sneaks into your life, the devil. These are real rock lyrics, yeah. Again, very subtle.
So now we cut to tomorrow. He falls asleep to his rock music, because you know how conducive rock music is to sleeping. And then we cut to the 24-second establishing shot of a church that slowly and clumsily zooms in on the steeple. Sometimes you can't see it anymore for just a second when the fucking cameraman sneezes. But yes, we're not just at a church. We are very at a church.
Yeah, right. My note to the movie here was, when you guys make the sequel, the scene should be noticeably longer than the establishing shot. That's kind of the standard these days. I mean, same in 1982, but also now, if you make another.
And mom's having her meeting with the pastor, which is basically her being like, I'm a bad mom. Should I abort my 19-year-old? Yeah. I mean, wait, do you watch soap operas? What's that have to do with it? I don't know. Is the scene over? Sure is. Click.
Well, okay, so this is such a bizarre moment. Okay, so this is where we meet fucking polonium-poisoned Philip Seymour Hoffman here. And, we already met him through the phone call, but we get a little more time with him here.
It's nice to see, though, what the mascot for the Piggly Wiggly did before he got to really famous. It's cool to find out what he was doing before, right? It's like, oh, look.
Yeah, I guess he was a terrible youth pastor, so they decided he needed more work. And at first it almost seems like this scene is going to become sane, right? Because mom comes in, she's like, yeah, I scream and yell at my son all the time for his music. And he's like, do you know anything about his music? And she's like, all I know is that it's loud. Like, well, that's not an intrinsic quality of music. That's a knob on the stereo. Yeah. And the guy's going like, well, you know, you don't understand his music. You don't know anything about it. And you're yelling about it at him. Does that make sense to you? And she's like, well, maybe not. And he's like, do you watch soap operas? She's like, yeah. And I thought he was going to say, well, you know, that's just harmless and that's your taste. It just like the music is harmless and it's his taste. But no, the point he's making with the soap operas is, see, you're also of the devil.
Right.
Yeah. It's so close to making a real point. It's like, yeah, everyone has their own taste. My taste, personally, is for human flesh. It's like, oh, heart rate turning to crazy. Also, you could replace the word heroin with rock and roll in this scene, and it would still be the exact same lines.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, oh, every night, heroin up in his room, and I don't know what to do. Well, heroin is very addictive and influential. Like, just go through, if you watch this movie with us, it's on YouTube, and just shout the word heroin whenever anyone says rock and roll. The movie kind of makes sense.
Well, I actually have a very similar theory. I'm thinking the game would be whenever they say rock music, switch it out for masturbation. And I'm quite certain the writer intended it this way. And by the way, pretty much all the rest of my notes are lines from this movie that confirm that theory. I'm quite certain that's what happened. He was just like, oh, we'll make it could be for masturbation or gay people or rock music, whatever. It's just interchangeable.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Interchangeable.
Oh, yeah,
Fun
exactly.
fact, when I was a teenager in the 1980s, my mom complained about how loud my masturbation was. She was
got
like,
it, man.
seriously.
Yeah.
Your son's probably been listening to masturbation music for longer than you even realize.
Every night up in that room, he's just masturbating. I can't
How
sleep.
can you be choking yourself and screaming at the same time? The Eli Bosnick.
Also, and again, so just to confirm that heroin or masturbation was clearly the intent here, one of the guy's lines is, I shit you not, rock music is one of the most difficult things a Christian child must deal with. Are we quite sure about that? Did we fact check that?
I want to see that like a support group. Like, yeah, man, I hit rock bottom. I was listening to Kiss, and then I just went on to the Beatles. I woke up in the morning, and I'd gone all the way through the Stones collected albums. I don't know. I need help. I'm here to get help.
I also love he's like trying to encourage the mom to learn more about Christian or about rock music. I just wanted a flash cut to her in a mosh pit or something, knocking down some tattooed motherfuckers. And then, of course, she leaves with this brilliant line. She says, "Oh, you know, I came here about Jeff, but I feel like I learned the most. Like, you're the only one there. Jeff isn't there. That makes no fucking sense." Anyway, so now we cut to, we get an establishing shot of the same church that we were already in, because that's where the next scene happens too. Kind of defeats the purpose of an establishing shot, really.
Yeah. During this establishing shot, I started and finished my second masturbation.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay, good. So you got some stuff done.
Yeah.
So now Pastor Owens is having the talk with Jeff, and of course that's the rock and roll talk that I'm talking about.
I immediately, the moment he started to talk to Jeff, I started to assume he was going to try to fuck him. I was like, oh no. Run, Jeff, run.
Yeah, in all of the scenes between the two of these guys, and there's quite a few of them, have that undercurrent. And of course, my first note is, yeah, Jeff, multicolored vertical stripes. Roll with that. Human test pattern. It's a good look for you.
Also, can we just point out that before he starts this conversation with Jeff, he's like, now look, I'm not going to lecture you. I'm not going to throw a Bible in your nose, and then proceeds for what I assume was 87 minutes to lecture him and shove Bible verses at him.
Yes, exactly.
That's all he does is quote the Bible and lecture him.
And he does it off of a cue card. So obviously off of a cue card. And I also want to point out that every single Bible verse he references in this scene involves a man entering another man. Watch this. It's only 53 minutes. You can get through this one. It's not that hard. And just wait for this scene and notice that. I believe 3 different verses he throws up, and it's about God entering someone or someone entering Jesus, or yeah.
Saying boy's soul.
And Jeff does not get the hint. Keeps knocking his pencil off his desk. Oh, Jeff, I dropped my pencil again. Let me bend over and get it. Jeff, I'm getting my pencil, Jeff. Fuck, fine. Here, let's talk more about the music you should listen to.
Oh, my pants got caught in that chair and ripped. No, nothing. Okay.
Nothing? Also, his first argument seems to be like Paul also fought with his mom about lute music or whatever.
The Apostle Paul!
Apostle Paul was like, would not, could not on a train, would not, could not in the rain.
He quotes to him from the book of Hop on Pop. What the fuck was that?
Also, camera note for this particular scene, can we get so close to their faces that we can see their thoughts?
It's clearly they'd been playing Space Invaders of late. So, yeah, and it's just so ridiculous. Like, one of the things that he says during this thing is, like, salvation isn't a promise of a problem-free life. In fact, it doesn't do any measurable thing at all. That being said, Jesus.
Yeah, he also has that moment where he's like, now, we should live our lives according to the scripture, which is hard because the scripture is full of shit. Oh, like, are you going to go find some fucking Amalekites and start smashing heads? No, I'll tell you what it means. I know, because I didn't go to school.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I went to magic school.
Well, and that's what he's like, it's difficult to live your life by scripture because it's not always specific. And then when it is, it's pretty much telling you to murder people or something like that. But don't worry, because I'm going to show you how we can retroactively apply some unrelated verse to anything. For example, here's what the fucking Bible says about cigarette smoking.
Right. It says, it never directly says we shouldn't smoke cigarettes because then everyone would be Christian. But it does say to take care of your body. Please don't ever go to a Trump rally. That's gonna conflict for you. There's a lot of rascals. The rascal parking and the car parking are pretty much equal. Don't worry about it. God, I got some ministers to quote that particular passage to.
Yeah.
Tell you what, why don't we both do a sit-up and then we'll talk about the Bible. Never mind, I'm Hindu now. Oh, I put the semen in the latte.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a Christian. That's less temple and more rotunda there, but
he just wants to build a super church. That's what it is. They love their mega churches.
Right.
The Newsboys could play in some of the people I've seen.
The Newsboys have played in some of the people that you're talking about, but yeah. So, and this is where he issues the challenge that this whole movie will be about. The challenge is: can Jeff go 2 weeks without crack, rock, heroin? No.
Masturbating.
Rock and roll fucking music. He's got to go 2 weeks without listening to any rock and roll music. And he's like, oh, gee, shit, I don't know if I can handle that, Pastor Owens.
Also, I didn't point this out, but Jeff's V-neck in this scene is so low he wouldn't be allowed to go to a Catholic schoolgirl prom. It is a deep V.
So, yeah.
It is a... You wear Jeff's shirt to a Tinder date. You do not wear it to a meeting with your youth pastor. I feel like there was a lot of mixed signals, but both of these men wanted to fuck each other desperately.
Using the V as a ball rest, basically. It's pretty low. It's pretty low.
Think Borat.
No, was that a big thing in 1982?
Oh, yeah, we were all wearing
super deep V-neck polo shirt stripe.
We were all wearing the vertical stripes back then. Oh my God.
I think that was the Astros uniform in 82, actually.
So, and then, okay, so in addition to the 2 weeks without any rock and roll music, he also wants Jeff to decide whether or not Christian music or rock music is something that he wants in his life, and he wants him to do it by justifying it scripturally.
Yeah.
That's what he explains. He's like, opinions change, but God's word never changes unless you count the errors that were copied into the Bible or any other scripture.
Right. I wrote, God's word never changes. Man who shaves his face and knows bats aren't birds.
Right.
He also gives him some Christian rock to hold him over, and you can see everyone be uncomfortable. It's like, hey, yeah, check this out. Is this your band? Yeah. Crazy. We're at the Y this weekend. You should come check us out. It's a 6-drink minimum for me before the show.
To keep going through the set. And I love this line too, because I want you to justify rock music with scripture, but nothing vague or contradictory. What? It's like saying, I want a Tim Burton movie, but not one of the weird ones, okay?
Yeah, don't creep me out with black and white outfits.
Yeah.
And no Helena Bonham Carter.
Becoming less and less of a problem these days.
Go spend a weekend with Eli Bosnick, but don't get touched where you're the most tickled. Tom knows what I'm talking about.
And of course, this is where we get the first of many title drops in the film. He's like, well, what if I decide to go back to my rock music? And Pastor Owen goes, it's your decision. Boom!
Oh, and a bunch of Christians in 1983 stood up and were like, it's the name of the movie!
So now we get him. He's made this agreement with Pastor Owens. He's driving home.
Well,
and,
first Pastor Owens gives him some books, too.
Oh, right, yes. God.
Just some recently published books with the Christian perspective on masturbation. They have details on all the different masturbation groups, what kind of stuff they sing about. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets his fucking Lee Strobel books. And then of course they pray for him too. But then he's driving away, and like apparently this kid is just like, he's got the masturbation's hard or something, because he's not even going to make it all the way home without having like a jonesing, like, should I listen to a rock station or not? Kind of a moment. But also, like, he decides to listen to a shitty radio station. So.
And I couldn't begin to tell you what music he chooses to listen to, because it's but not rock music.
It was kind of like classical, but it was also kind of like just, like tuning.
Right. It was like, and now the Philadelphia Philharmonic will warm up.
Right.
Two oboists getting into a fight while trying to compete for a solo.
It's 8:46, bitch. Get it right. Shit. Bring it down 6 clicks.
So now we get Tara Fawcett once more. She's showing up at Jeff's house. Apparently she's Jeff's girlfriend. Which they did a terrible job of establishing when she was like talking to the other guy and ignoring him earlier.
And if anyone's wondering what I sleep in every night, it's her outfit in this scene. She has a jean jacket with a deer on it over a white button-down shirt.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's wonderful.
No one had a good picture from the early 80s, and there's a reason for that.
At what point in the 80s did everyone just go crazy? Because there was like, I get 60s fashion, I get 70s fashion, and then the 80s you all were just like, you know what? Fuck it. Everything we didn't use in the last 2 decades, we're using now.
Okay, I'm
Who's
sorry.
got some coke?
You can talk a lot of shit about the 80s, but don't you dare say that 80s fashion was weird compared to 70s fashion. At least our pants were like leg-shaped at that point.
I understand it. I don't understand the impetus for that deer print jean jacket.
I thought it looked pretty sweet. I'm just saying, I thought it looked pretty sweet. So,
Flash cut to Noah slowly putting something into the back of his closet, takes it out of a folder labeled Reason Rally Clothing. Fucking asshole. I was going to be the deer atheist. Fine, no one. Could you fucking just get this t-shirt? Fucking kids these days don't understand shit.
Well, I've still got the same hairdo I had in 82 as well. So, so then we cut over to Jeff, who's like reading one of the books, and he's doing that, like holding the book like at a 90-degree angle, like product placement kind of a reader there.
And I'm sorry, this has to be mentioned. The book he's reading about rock and roll is called Big Beat. This movie is about masturbation.
Right, they 80-yard over jerking off over and over again or something.
Because people kept jerking off to the movie.
The original beginning of that was just him in his bedroom with a sock on his cock.
I can hear you, Jeffrey.
They're like, no, put a rock concert in there or something. They said we couldn't do that.
And her way to get Jeff's attention, so Tara Fawcett walks into the room, and her way to get attention is to move her mood ring or her birthstone ring from one hand to the other and go, Jeff, look at my engagement ring. And he's like, it's not an engagement ring. And she's like, we're having fun. This is how Christians interact when we don't fuck.
And this is the second time this movie made me grease up for nothing. I mean, in this scene, she spills popcorn all over his dick, and it's still not turning into crazy bush porn.
I'm 2 for 2 at this point.
Thank
by the way.
you.
I'm 2 for 2. Sorry, go ahead.
She also says, men wouldn't know pretty if it slapped them in the face.
Well,
and I would just like to say we would, because it has.
When I started greasing up. Yeah, exactly. And then he forgives her for spilling the popcorn on him and then brags about how awesome he is because of it. And then we get the real conflict here. She says, did you get tickets to the rock and roll concert? Because you know how
that's what you
reference the concert you're going to by the genre of the music that we'll be playing there.
Are we going to that pop R&B late 60s, early 70s concert later?
So this is where she first learns that he changed his mind about the devil music and is going to go 2 weeks without any.
Yeah, and it's like he's coming out as gay. He's like, no, I don't rock anymore, Barbara. I don't rock anymore.
I just can't find that funky rhythm. Also, by the way, we can't not point out that he's dressed like Woody from Toy Story in this scene. And not only is he, but like multiple people will be dressed like Woody from Toy Story as this movie goes on.
Right. There's also, she goes, well, actually, remember the rock concert was going to be my birthday present because I'm your girlfriend and that was my birthday gift. And he's like, yeah, but I made an invisible agreement with Jesus. So do you want to go out to eat instead? And she's like, with you? Huh. That's weird that you would make that choice and think that those two were similar. I wrote in my notes, be a bad boyfriend. This movie.
Yeah.
There's also this great moment where she gets mad and he turns around really fast and I wrote, hit her! It's biblical.
She is getting uppity. And so, okay, this comes back up several times within this movie, but like in the real world, if for whatever reason you agreed to not listen to rock and roll music for 2 weeks, no one would even notice, right? Like nothing would change in your fucking life. You would just be listening to less good music, or maybe you would like get into bluegrass or something. Right, yeah, exactly. In real life, this would in no way affect you. But in this movie about how you should do this, they set up these ridiculous scenarios where like your girlfriend will break up with you, none of your friends will want to hang out with you, Jesus will never let you touch yourself, you'll never get laid, whatever. And like in their effort to make this seem like a good thing you should do.
Yeah.
The exaggeration is going in the wrong direction, guys.
Yeah, it's like one of those scenes where cartoon characters are starving and everyone starts to look like a chicken leg. That's basically how this movie treats rock and roll. It's like, oh, Zinzi, you sure do look like a spinning Kiss record right now. Whoa. I'm just going to put this needle on you real quick. Just a second. Who could it hurt?
And just as we're all thinking, but where's all the fantastic Christian movie sportsing? We get to some white people playing basketball.
Yeah, remember when white people were allowed to sports? Now we know why we're not allowed to do that anymore.
This is actually the best basketball we've ever seen in a Christian movie.
I got to admit, my note here is, holy shit, this actor's done a layup before.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's still the whitest layup you could possibly imagine, but still amazing. It looks like a first take.
Oh, shit. And this is where we learn all about Marty's penis. Now, I'm sure that there was no note in the script that says make sure Marty's wearing sweatpants and no underwear, and that his sweatpants camel toe
partially erect
is exactly is hyper visible. But I mean, my notes here are we sure Marty's Christian because he looks Jewish? from that outline.
The casting notice was very obviously Marty, best friend, frizzy hair, grower, not a shower.
So they talk about something, and it was really hard for me to pay attention to that because I was busy staring at his deformed penis.
I'd show if I had that. Whatever. Nice.
But what ultimately pulled me away from Marty's penis was the sudden realization that for no fucking reason, the two actors in this movie decided to start talking like white people doing Sam Jackson lines.
Yeah, I wrote, why are they talking like the Disney crows? Like, yo, man, you going to this rock concert? No, man, I'm not.
I guess maybe because they had a basketball, it affects your vernacular or something.
Oh my God, wait, hand me a soccer ball. Yeah, I have a Spanish accent now. It's just what sport you're holding. Here, throw me a baseball. Yeah, I want to hit my wife. This is weird. I want to punch her right in her mouth.
I'd hate to see what you do with the football in your hand. Holy shit. So
I need an elevator.
So he convinces Marty to go home with him and read about the evils of rock and roll.
Yeah. You want to do some research about how masturbation is evil at my house right now. Let's go. And they do.
Also, wait, I want to point out that this is the first time they drop the F word in this movie.
Oh.
And no, not fuck, but fanatic. They use the word fanatic like it's the N word for Christians.
Yeah.
And I want to know if that works. Like when I run into Ray, if I say fanatic, will he like run away screaming and crying? Like, is that the Christian version of the, I can't wait.
If there's not one, we need to make one. We need to
Yeah.
create. How does one go about making people angry at syllables? Fuck. I'll find out.
I said fan-na.
Fanatic.
So now we get them doing their prudery research in Marty's bedroom. Of course, I'm lubing up for no reason. And I paused the movie here so that I could lube up for no reason. This is at 23 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm so glad I did, because this is where I noticed that they've actually placed black electrical tape over the name of the goddamn bands on the records he's looking. Like, it's Leonard Skinner. And the name of the band, you can see the LY and the SKY or whatever. But the rest of it, the album name, everything is blacked out with tape. Fucking hilarious.
Right. And he goes, don't you see? It's all about sex. And I'm like, dude, have you not read the whole chapter of the Bible that's about fucking? Like, there's a whole 50 Shades of Grey section in there where he wants to come in the garden and she doesn't let him. And then he lists things that are just in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, they're not in the Bible. He goes, drinking, drugs, sex, and the occult. And I'm like, dude, are you reading from the index of the Bible? Because there's all that fucking shit in there.
And then he starts going up on his whole, he goes, I've been doing research and I've discovered that the average age of a person buying a Kiss album is 12 years old.
Yeah, does that mean that, like, most of them are 20 and some of them are 2? Like, what the fuck?
That's such a weird...
I would like Stop Me Up, please. And some animal crackers.
Oh, God, jeez, I thought he was going to have an aneurysm over a fucking kid buying Start Me Up.
Yeah, fuck you, movie. Start Me Up's a great song. Love the Stones.
Yeah, right?
And also, a person buying masturbation material at age 12 is very reasonable.
That's
the average age.
When you get the guts to go in and just go ahead and buy your own
Also, we're going to touch on this just once in the movie, but Marty goes, yeah, you sound like my old man. He's a preacher on Saturdays, but then he beats the shit out of us every other day of the week. And he's just like, yeah, we're not talking about you right now, Marty. We're talking about music. And if you're wondering, does that ever come up again? It sure the fuck doesn't.
Nope.
The abusive dad never comes back in this movie because we've got to deal with the rock and roll music problem.
Exactly.
The hardest thing Christians have to deal with.
Right, exactly. So it suddenly sheds all new light on why Marty was saying, I wish they'd preach about something other than our music at these things, like maybe about how our parents shouldn't beat us or something like that. Maybe
No,
throw dad a bone there. And again, okay, so Marty says at one point, he's like, don't you think you're going overboard, Jeff? Everyone has the right to their own taste in music. This is the guy who will be proven wrong through this movie.
Yeah.
You don't, apparently. But Marty isn't buying this shit, so he storms off, and then we cut to the soda shop where fucking it's the 80s, but they seem to think it's the 50s an awful lot. So he works at a burger joint, and she comes, the Tara Fawcett, Melissa's the character's name, comes to say she's sorry for being reasonable earlier about him reneging on his promised birthday gift. Yeah, exactly.
You want me to jerk you a pomegranate soda? No? All right. All the Coke.
Yeah, he goes, can I get you anything? She goes, yeah, can I get a Coke? And I was like, man, remember the days when you could just order a soda at a restaurant and people wouldn't be like, what the fuck are you doing? Go to a bodega.
My
gross.
All my notes on here are get to work, cracker. Those burgers ain't going to flip themselves. What the fuck is your girlfriend doing here anyway? But apparently the message of this scene is, don't worry, prudish anti-rock and roll Christians. Eventually your platonic relationship with your celibate girlfriend will wind up being just fine.
Or will it?
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not fair. It's easier for women to not listen to rock music. It's a lot easier for them.
They have to shave their legs. So that's a deep Seinfeld reference right there. So I skipped 3 references over and just went all the way to the end. And also, I just want to point out, he says in this fucking scene, he's like, you want to hang out? I'm getting off in 15 minutes. But he meant from work. 4 times I greased up for nothing. Motherfuckers. So now he's driving home or whatever with her, And which we learned through another overlong establishing shot that literally gets the car all the way into frame and all the way out of frame and follows it.
Right. I wrote, finally, some fucking.
Right. Again, getting lubed up for no reason. But she's like, yeah, it's too bad about the concert. He's like, didn't you just say you forgave me about that and you're not mad about it anymore? She goes, I'm a woman. No.
It's the opposite of what I say every time, or whenever it's convenient for me.
And basically they have a fight over the radio like a buddy cop movie. It's like, no, classical music. Classical music. I wrote my notes, Melissa, don't make me belt you in the mouth. She's acting like if she doesn't hear rock music, she'll suffocate.
Right.
Like he's taking her insulin.
You're acting awfully selfish. And I'm like, well, he is, but not about the music in his car. He's just, it's, the concert thing. Yeah, but
she wants to masturbate and he doesn't. That is selfish.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
This is why we need RIFRA. It's important.
So she says, oh, I'm glad you only have 8 days left on this silly bet. And of course, he's got this, or do I kind of look on his face. Now, of course, in the aftermath of last week's bonus episode on the movie Pixels, my cardiologist has warned me not to wait too long between interstitials. So we're going to pause for a quick break. But before we do, let me give Act 3 the hard sell here. Can Pastor Owens keep his dick out of Jeff for 30 more on-screen minutes? Will Jeff find some crack that's strong enough to drown out his rock and roll desires? Will he at least finger Melissa at some point? Find out the answers to these questions and more when we return for the decisive conclusion of Rock, It's Your Decision.
So, Jeff, tell me, it's been 2 weeks. What have you decided about rock and roll?
Oh, it's bad or whatever. But Pastor, I've made a fantastic discovery. I know what I want to do with my life.
Oh, really? What's that?
Yeah. I want to kill Amalekites.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, I was reading the Bible to find out what God thinks about music, and he's actually not super clear about it. But you know what he is clear about? Killing the fuck out of some Amalekites.
Right. Well, Jeff, those people haven't been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, because I did my research just like you asked, and I realized that they're very likely modern Jordanians, so I'm just gonna get on the quickest flight I can and just, kill, kill until I'm bathed in blood, just, show no mercy to women, children, or animals, just like the Bible said.
Huh. Okay, or what if you don't do that, but I'll tell your parents to lay off you about the music?
Deal. Okay, so you were a drummer, huh?
Oh, yeah, man, it was awesome. I got to fuck the groupies when everyone else was done and everything.
Yeah,
it's the
it's
best.
Good. Comes the best lube.
And we're back just so that we can mix gluttony and wrath and get a deadly sins twofer. And we rejoin our hero here. He's chatting with Pastor Owen about the research he's doing, which we learn about via flashbacks. That's research at the record store at the mall.
Yeah, and the music note I have for this scene is, man, the woman in this porno has a lot of pubic hair.
All bass.
Yeah.
So he goes to a record store and goes up to the front desk. He says, basically, hi, I'm a Christian. Can I ask some questions about the devil music you're peddling? And store owners love that. Yeah, they usually come over and help you find other people to harass, apparently, because that's what happens.
Try bothering my customers. Have you tried bothering my customers?
Yeah, right. And speaking of bothering his customers, this was my favorite scene in the movie. He goes, we're hearing him in the voiceover. He's going I tried to interview 2 teenagers at the mall, but when they found out I was a Christian, they hassled me a bit. Yeah. And we see this scene, the 2 of them walking away, and then the one guy knocks his clipboard, and it's very clearly, he's like, should I hit the clipboard, guys? You think I should? And then somebody off camera's like, yeah, hit the clipboard. That'll be great.
I said chocolate chip. Slaps. Awesome.
That scene is all I really need. I have all these things around me that I want, but that's what I really need. Holy shit.
Also, there's a moment where he's checking out what appear to be VHS boxes that go into some kind of large computer. Was this a way of playing music during the Stone Age? There are these giant squares. They're like toast. Imagine a piece of French toast from a nice brunch place that you paint with black paint. He's checking. There's a whole shelf of them at one point.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. The whole 8-track rack there. That was pretty fucking awesome.
Was that because there were 8 pieces of music on it, like it held 8 notes.
That's
so you
pretty,
needed
actually,
one.
yes, that actually was correct.
You had a giant wheel that you turned and it played music, like one of those player piano things, like
8-bit MP3. It's just 8 zeros or ones.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
It's nice to know that even though so much has changed in 20 years, the beliefs haven't. 30 years. It's not thousands.
Yeah, right,
It's
yeah, exactly.
thoughts.
Well, what an amazing thing that is to reflect on, though. Yeah, everything in this movie has been updated except for Christian beliefs.
Right. Everything fits in your pocket except for the bullshit the people who made this movie are selling.
Yeah, exactly. Also,
Still takes up the same amount of space.
apparently, this character has a survey questionnaire about rock music that he wants people to fill out. That's what he's at the mall doing. And they never tell you what's on it. I want to know so bad. I want to fill this fucking questionnaire out. There's our hashtag for this week.
Yeah. Hashtag Christian questionnaire. What are the questions on the Christian questionnaire?
Right. Yeah, if you ever had any rock and roll devil music questions you wanted me to answer on Twitter, that's probably the best way to make it happen. And also, if I get the feeling that they heard rock and they were hearing about rock. This is the 80s. People were talking about crack. They assumed it was still the music. And that's what they made this movie big. Because he's going like, I never realized how dependent I was on rock. Like, that makes perfect sense if we're talking about crack.
He's just taking witness statements from like the 1980s Harlem. It's like, yeah, man, they kill their moms because of The Rock. This one guy was on The Rock and he lifted up a piano and threw it at his baby.
God invented rock to kill black people.
So, and this is also where we get, and he's actually got several of these phenomenal lines as the movie progresses. I think this is the first one where he goes, I was just walking by the record store and, quote, the beat just grabbed me.
Yeah, and he's hypnotized like a cartoon cobra. Like he's walking by and you hear like boo-chee, boo-chee, boo, and he's like meow 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 meow. He's just staring at it and he's like no. He like has to shake it off and be like, no, devil music,
Right.
no.
He's like Bugs Bunny, like floating on the carrot scent or whatever. Yeah.
And by the way, translation, when I passed the masturbation store, the beat just grabbed me and pulled me in.
The beat
It's
just,
in
yeah, that
this
makes
movie.
perfect sense.
How did they know I was going to play this game? Well done, movie.
So, yeah, as we realize that he's the penguin from Happy Feet, and this is the movie of what would have happened if he'd given up on his dream, we cut away from the flashbacks to, like, another 65 minutes of him talking with Pastor Owens. And this is where we learn that Pastor Owens was also once addicted to the funky beat.
Not just addicted, he was a rock musician. And in the
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I was a drummer. I'm like, that. Well, then, not really. You weren't really a musician.
Yeah, in the single saddest scene in any of the movies we've ever watched, he's like, yeah, I was pretty good. Could have gone pro if I hadn't chosen Jesus. Flash cut to him being like, pet, 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 pet. What do you think, guys? Yeah, man. Have you considered being a youth pastor forever? Yeah, that bad, huh? Mm-hmm. Rewrite this story in your head when you tell it to people. Sure will.
Yeah,
Sure will. I think I'm going to be the word tweed incarnate instead.
If Tweed was a human. Shit. So yeah, but the point of this story is that he gave up on his dreams, and that's what he was supposed to do according to this movie. And then he's like, well, but Pastor Owens, all my friends hate me. He's like, yeah, a lot of my friends hate me, but it's worth ruining lifelong relationships and friendships over rock and roll music, said the good guy.
Right. Well, there's also this great moment where he goes, well, you know, my mom's been great, but all my friends are mad. And he goes, aren't you forgetting Jesus? And I wanted so badly for the camera to pan over to Jesus, just like waving from the corner, like,
Well, also, okay, so, yeah, because he's like, yo, my friends think X, and my girlfriend thinks Y, and my family thinks Z. And the way Pastor Owens sets this up, he's like, aren't you forgetting someone? And I'm like, and my expectation is, oh yeah, I've forgotten all about what I think.
Nope.
No, not you.
You don't get devoted in your life. No.
You. No, Jesus. Jesus. Who does and I also love this also. There's this great moment where if you just cut this like 1 second here, you'd be sure this was gay porn. Because like, Jeff goes, well, Pastor Owens, what if I do go back to my old music? And there's this cut shot of Pastor Owens who looks like he was just surprise penetrated and doesn't know if he likes it yet. Just this whole like, I didn't thought about that. And then of course he has to throw in not just a title drop, but a double title drop, yes, sir.
Double title drop.
It's your decision.
And also, literally, this is a line, Jesus will never test you with something that's too hard to handle. I'm not making these up.
Oh, God, did they make it easy this
not
week?
About music.
So now we cut back to Jeff's job, where apparently all he does is get harassed by his girlfriend because now she's calling him at the payphone.
Right. And she's like, we're having a party at Marty's tonight. Please come by. He said the outline of his dick will be there. And he's basically, I smell like a giant French fry, the Eli Bosnick story, but I'll go. And this is such a sinister setup to the scene that I was like, are they gonna fucking kill him at this party?
Right.
Like, I expected the crying game. I was ready for the crying game. I was like, oh.
Or at least like an
they're gonna fuck Jeff
intervention.
and shoot him in the head, spoiler alert.
He gets in there and there's like 7 or 8 people all sitting around in a circle going, Marty, it's time for us to have this talk.
Dear Marty.
Let's daisy chain up. That's why I made a circle.
So now we cut over to the most boring looking party in cinematic history.
Yeah, and basically he walks in. This is supposed to be like the rock and roll party that tempts him. And the first line is, "Hey, I hope you like this onion dip I made." And everyone's like, "Whoa, man, don't go crazy." It's just so terrible.
Do you have an entire ham in the fridge? Can we break that out? Like a boar's head?
Yeah.
There's a Jewish kid going through a
a what if, a movie what if.
He's going through a what if experience, and he said we can give that a shot.
5 days left. It'll be tough. It'll be fun to watch him sweat.
So Marty's bragging about concocting his great onion dip, and again, he turns out to be talking about real onion dip, so 4 useless lubes. But the other thing about this, when he first walks into this party, okay, it's everybody's just sitting around bored as fuck, having quiet conversation, eating cheese dip. And the party so clearly needs rock music. Like, why would you show us how awful a party would look with no music? Why would you want us to know this information if the message? Anyway, yeah. So, and then there's also this great moment where he's like, "Hey Jeff, why don't you go and get us some more ice from out behind the garage?" And at first I'm thinking, all right, how can you not see this as a setup, Jeff? And then it occurs to me that the stuck-up Christian kid must never realize that being asked to leave the party for a few minutes is unusual, right?
Right when he got there. Can you turn back around, go to the garage and grab ice?
Hey, will you grab my
Every time anybody wants to smoke a joint or get late or whatever, they always have to make an excuse to get Jeff out of there. So that's just his life. He just thinks, why is it that every time I go to a party, everybody wants me to get... Why do they put the ice so far away from the party?
It's because I'm helpful.
I'm such a helpful Christian.
Hey man, I couldn't find that Sasquatch your uncle said was out in the woods, but why is everyone so sweaty? Why is everyone...
Skyhook.
You guys didn't play Twister without me, did you? I'm just kidding. I know you wouldn't. Because I brought the Twister. Huh? Let's keep it fun. Jenny, you got mayo all over your face. What happened? Did you get sandwiches? They were sandwiches?
I didn't miss the sandwiches today.
Sweatpants erection green. Marty's got it.
So now, of course, he shows back up with the ice and someone turns on the rock and roll music.
And the protagonist of our music has a psychopathic fit, screams at the host, and storms out. The good guy.
Right, exactly. He's like, oh, why'd you invite me to this party if there was going to be rock and roll music? You knew. And I'm just like, oh, the whole fucking party is supposed to not listen to music because you're an asshole?
Yeah, it's like we're supposed to sympathize with the no-wire hanger monologue. You know, technically, though, those do ruin clothes. Like, if you think about it. A shot of her and Carson from Fab 5 being like, you said the right thing. You did the right thing. No wire hangers for 2 weeks. More sympathetic than this movie.
No kidding.
Also, exact line from Marty to Jeff. Don't push it down my throat. If you don't like it, just go home to mama. Which is going to happen very soon.
Yes, yeah. He storms off and Melissa, bless her little heart, tries to talk him into like not being a jackass, and then eventually says, you know what, why don't you just go home before you lose all your other friends?
Right.
So, and actually they use the F word again. You know, she's like, you've become a fanatic, and I'm like, you don't have to keep pointing that out, movie. We know that. Everything about this. Yeah. Anyway, so then he goes home to mama, like Marty helpfully suggests. And he's huffy. He's a little huffy.
But wait, we need to stop here. Jeff's mad walk into the house is my everything. It's my Mona Lisa. It's my muse. It's just, this is why we need a visual medium so that I could if I just want that on loop forever as I go to sleep. My children will not have mobiles of airplanes or space. They will have mobiles of Jeff Huffy walking in a circle. I don't care what hologram I need to put in place, what money I need to spend, what scientist I need to kidnap. I will have a constant loop of Jeff Huffy walking into his home for my children to fall asleep to forever and ever.
With his swollen blue ears. Yeah, he's having trouble.
He's basically doing the limp arm thing as he's walking in. It's so amazing.
I'll show you at the live show. Remind me at the live show. I'll do it. That's how I'm going to walk on stage.
Eli doing the mad walk, doing the Jeff Huffy walk.
It's like Paul Rudd getting forced to pick up the shit he knocked over in Wet Hot American Summer. Janine Garot.
So he gets home, he's very huffy, and then he goes home, goes right back to the pipe. All of a sudden, there's some rock music blasting, so Mom decides to scream and yell at him about how disappointed in him she is and how he'll never amount to anything because this movie thinks that's what she should do.
Right, because she's the good guy. And then she hits him.
Yes! Well, kind of. I mean,
the movie wants us to think she hits him.
yeah, right.
She slaps him with a slow motion Tai Chi move.
Yeah, right. It was
I thought she was trying to use the force on him. Like, this is not the music you're looking for.
No, the slap takes about 5 minutes. They could have got one more establishing shot in there if they cut the slap. Seems like a waste.
It was a cheek push. She cheek pushed him is what she did. Yeah.
Also, by the way, one of her exact lines in this scene is, "You got to come in here and blast the roof off with that garbage." And he's at this point laying on his back and listening to masturbation music really loudly.
Yeah, and yeah, right. Okay, so this is beautiful because he calls her out on the soap operas too. At this point, she's like, you're mad at me about my music. Well, you watch soap operas. They're just sex with commercials. That's what earns him the slap, by the way.
Yeah. Nobody talks about guiding light that way.
right. You can talk about my physical appearance, but you will not talk about my stories. So she has now physically abused him because he likes Motorhead. The good guy has physically abused him because he likes Motorhead. So we get the mad walk again.
Yeah.
And he storms out to, if I'm reading the music correctly, to go fight Jesus once and for all.
That's exactly. I wrote my music note as Jeff is going to go fight Marty once and for all. I want to just, everyone's rocking. He just punches Marty in the face. And then it unfreeze frames and everyone's like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. Leave. We all let you leave.
I don't know why you thought we wanted you to come back, but we very much didn't. So now he's driving and he's having the classic Christian movie bingo flashback to all the things that have happened in this movie up till now.
Yep.
I mean, at one point he's flashing back to what he said himself.
Yeah. My music note here is "Don't die, Mama."
Oh, right. When
Doc Hilson is coming.
Yeah. So now we get the sad talking to God scene. Also Christian movie bingo. He arrives at an empty parking lot to talk to God. God's a no-show once more. So he parks next to the loudest river on earth.
And they did the inner monologue next to the river. Like, it's an inner monologue, and they still recorded it next to the river. So it's like, really, God, you... Help me, I'm drowning. My child fell off this canoe. I was wondering, Jesus, if you're...
Out of the shot. Sorry. Glug, 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 glug.
Am I in the movie?
Hi, Mom. But he's made his decision. He doesn't care about his friends or his family or his girlfriend or his life or the things that make him happy. He cares about an invisible imaginary carpenter ghost. So clearly he's made his decision. Title drop. So he's going to go back to the party to be an asshole some more.
Jeff is the good guy in this movie. I just want to. Is he?
They seem to think so. Yes.
And he basically goes to this party, pulls Melissa aside, and is like, hey, Melissa, I just want you to know that if I have to choose between you and Jesus, I choose Jesus. And her answer is, so? And I wrote in my notes, I love you, Melissa. Right. Never change.
Well, and I just gotta say, like, Melissa has been presented as this remarkably forgiving and reasonable person who's willing to stand by him through this obsessive, bitchy religious phase. And we're supposed to look at her and go, that bitch. Bad bitch, trying to steal him away from Jesus. Harlot.
When he says, I choose Jesus, I wanted so badly for us to cut to a shot of him going to the factory where Jesus works in a Navy uniform and just scooping him up and walking out. Hungry earth.
Whitney Houston singing.
And I wrote in my notes, but she can't bear to let him walk away. Oh, wait, yes, she can, and she does.
She really does. He's like, I choose Jesus, and she's like, sure, man,
Okay.
go for
I'm
it.
gonna go fuck Marty. He's got that weird penis, but you know.
I think if I lie sideways, it might hit the G-spot. I don't know. It's shaped like a K. That's all I can tell you. It's shaped like a K. Let your imagination take you where it will, but it's shaped like a K.
It's like moving a big chair into a door that's a little bit, so you gotta go C-shaped trick. You gotta
a big
pivot.
door.
You gotta pivot.
A
pivot.
big door, Jeff.
Also, by the way, in the scene, there's a lot of secondhand rock and roll going on, and I think that counts. I think that counts.
Yeah,
I think he's broken his
exactly.
promise.
I do love, though, that he has to sit in the foyer so he doesn't get too close to the rock and roll.
Right.
And then we cut to church for the big finish here. Now, and Dad is made it home now from his business Filipino boy thing.
Right. The human pyramid he was fucking his way from the top to the bottom of finally ran out of man-children. So
Yeah, exactly.
he was like, all right, back to Ohio.
And apparently, there was a problem in wardrobing where they gave Jeff suspenders. He thought it was a tie.
Yeah, it is the largest tie knot you have ever seen in your entire... I wrote, could we get him a larger one? You know, one that covers his entire face.
It's like a fucking vinyl seat belt was tied into it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so I guess now what's going to happen is now Jeff is going to preach to all his friends about how bad rock and roll is. Okay, so a little behind the scenes here. So as we do these movies, we'll write out like sort of a scene by scene thing, and then each of us will plug our notes for that scene in. This scene, each of us has written 4 fucking pages of notes.
I can't see your notes.
No,
or your last
exactly.
notes right
I don't, like, where are you guys' notes down there somewhere? Okay, good. Oh my fucking God, this is the most... We have seen so many movies that end in insane speech. Up till now, I think Clarence Gilliard was in the lead.
Mm.
But maybe
right
not anymore. Because now Jeff is going to share his research with his buddies.
I think he wins with the opening line here.
Which was?
The opening line was, of his, sermon to these people, how many of you are going to leave this service and go shoot up heroin, or smoke a joint, or listen to rock music? Circle the one that doesn't belong.
Yeah, that escalated very quickly.
Didn't it?
I wanted this part to keep going for a while. Okay, joint, heroin, rock music, hands down. And now how many people are going to freebase cocaine, take an aspirin, or do the electric slide when you leave? Cool.
Okay, some hands. I'm going to assume most of those are cocaine.
Part of my research.
Right. And how many more of you are going to have a little more heroin than you probably need?
Heroin is to rock and roll as Deaf Kid is to blank. Is it A?
Well, also, and when he asked this is the greatest moment. Like he says, how many of you are going to do heroin? He literally says that. How many of you are going to shoot up heroin when you leave? And Marty raises his hand. I'm like, I love Marty. Crazy penis and
everyone,
everything.
by the way, you'd think in this scene you'd want to show everybody being troubled and changing their mind. No. But throughout this speech, they keep cutting to a room full of people just being like, fucking asshole. Oh, Jeff, fuck you. They practically hold up signs that say fuck you. It's amazing.
He goes, the carnal part of me really likes rock.
Yeah, my flesh likes rock music. But the spiritual part of me, and I wrote, the spiritual part of you doesn't exist.
Well, right. He's like, music, sure, it makes me happy. But what about the imaginary shit that isn't really there? Did you ever think of that?
Yeah.
And he clearly thought at this point that he was about to go into a musical number because he starts dancing.
Is that when he does that beautiful dance move?
The airplane, yeah.
Amazing. Never stop. Just keep spinning. Twirl. Twirl away, Jeff. Twirl.
This is when he says,
I've never felt so alive. He also says, this for Heath's game, he goes, what's the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up? Or in the car? Or when you get home? And I was like, oh, it's the jerk-off game.
Yeah, right. Literally. Or come home from school in the afternoon. What do you do when you get in your car? And what's the last thing you heard before you came here today? That was the end of that one. That's my closing arguments right there.
pretty much. Well, and then he's like, when I had problems in my life, I would just turn my music up even louder, and eventually I couldn't even hear God. And I'm thinking, yeah, because, rock music is the only stuff that can be played loud. But also, I'm sorry, the omnipotent person can't speak over AC/DC?
I'm sorry, I'm really hoarse from that whole top of the mountain thing when I did all the Jews. Could you just turn that down a little bit? Do you have a Fisherman's lozenge? I know they're not real. It's like vitamin C. It just makes me feel better,
Oh God! And again, like this effort to throw in the '80s slang here was amazing. He goes, if you think you can control your rock and roll habit, you can't. Just try walking by a music store that's playing a really good get down beat and see what the music does to you. I didn't make that up. That's what he said.
It's like someone screams fag during that because he looks. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he shares a little bit he shares some of the numbers from his research. And at first, I started to write out this notes. Oh, is that your non-scientific research that you just did at a fucking mall with people who were willing to talk to the crazy Christian guy about the devil music? But then the number he presents actually doesn't support his conclusion. Right? Because he's talking about how horrible the music is. And he's like, now, according to my research, 4 out of people I talk to don't even listen to the lyrics or care what it says. I'm like, okay, 4 out of 5 people disagree with your conclusion about what they think. Why are you telling us this? You don't have to tell us this.
Yeah, Jeff Andrew Wakefield later went on to become a doctor. A lot of people don't know that.
Shit. Also, and then we have to get to homophobia. We made it almost all the way through.
Oh, they were so close. Like
So
5
close.
minutes away from making a Christian movie in 1982. That didn't directly mention hating gay people, but they didn't
Couldn't
This
quite
is
do
my
it.
impression of Christian movies, by the way. Think about baseball. Think about baseball. Think about baseball. God hates fags!
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, I'll do you now.
He goes, what about the lifestyles of these bands? Some of them have been arrested for drug possession. Some are admitted homosexuals.
Yeah, and I wrote, man, do I have a surprise for you about preachers, buddy. You're going to have a real disappointing time starting now through forever.
Right. And he goes, I guess he's trying to stave off all the counter arguments. He's like, I used to think, so what? I don't really have a counter argument to that.
Right.
I used to think it, but now I don't.
Let me now list some of the lamest rock I can possibly think of and say that they're sinful, including, but not limited to, the Eagles?
The Eagles.
Captain and Tennille.
Yes, he actually uses Captain and Tennille.
Rod Stewart.
Rock's way too hard.
And
Barry Manilow.
he is not just he's not listing the stupidest musicians that existed in 1982 that you could possibly be offended by. That is actually his fucking list. He goes on, he says, even Barry Manilow says yada, 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 and he is supposed to be mild. Barry Manilow is too controversial for this fucking movie.
Oh, Barry Manilow.
This movie should be called If Barry Manilow Tires You, What Will Rod Stewart Do? You won't believe it.
Oh my God, I could, there were, Black Sabbath was around then, Motorhead was around, there were bands that he could have used.
AC/DC.
Right, but he goes with Captain and Tennille, Rod Stewart, and Barry Manilow. How could...
Look, guys, I don't want to talk to you about the really hardcore stuff like Phil Collins, but I will if I have to. I will if I have to. Sneakers with a suit? Motherfucker.
PHI single hockey stick, CO double hockey stick, INS.
right. He who shall not be named. Flock of seagulls.
Then he gets to, Jesus said, he that is not for me is against me. You know, like a playground bully. Wait, do I get to say that?
Yeah, right. And then we finally get to his actual real argument beyond, Satan sways your hips when that get down beat starts getting down. But he says, but if we're not completely different than all the non-Christians, then our outgrouping will be ineffective. That's almost literally his argument. He's like, each of us is an advertisement for Jesus Christ. So if everybody looks at us and they see us doing all the same stuff they're doing, then they won't think we're assholes.
Yeah.
Can't have that. And then he says, now, I cannot possibly do it credit. I'm just gonna play the clip here. And this is one of the greatest moments in the history of film.
Each one of us is an advertisement for Jesus Christ. The friends we go to school with and the ones in our neighborhood, will they accept the message that our lives are advertising? Christians should be different. Different in what we say, different in where we go, different in how we dress, different in what we do, different in what we don't do. And shouldn't our music be different also? How can we think or concentrate on pure and good thoughts when the driving beat is pumping our minds full of sinful thoughts and our bodies full of sinful movements? Jesus Christ said, he that is not for me is against me. Everything that we do should be to glorify Jesus Christ. I want my life and the things I do to be for my Christ and not against my Christ. I've made my decision. What's yours?
And yes, that was the sound of him breaking a sinful devil music record.
Right, but they could not more clearly need a stunt record breaker here, because you see him raise the record and then there's hairy man hands breaking the record, because there were 27. There's 27 inches of lost film somewhere of him just desperately wailing an LP against the side of a bench oh, give me strength, Lord, give me strength.
What if I tear it? Maybe if I could just get it started, if I bite it?
Give me scissors. I'll start it this way.
It's like tearing a phone book
if you
in half.
catch me on top of Ray Comfort, you'll know what him trying to break a record looks like at Reason Rally.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it was so good. And then, of course, he turns right to the camera. He goes, I've made my decision. What's yours? And then we get the closing music, where my music note is, why would you remind us how shitty your music was right now?
Yeah, what's your decision?
Gee, let me think about it.
Let this tuba entice you back to Jesus.
So, now, I hate to play into the title of the movie so directly, but it is your decision. So, what do you think, guys? Rock music or Eternal Hellfire? Where are you putting your nickel down?
I don't know. I mean, did he win his argument? Because nobody reacted.
No.
So, I don't know what to think. I don't know what the movie's telling me. So,
well, you're right.
I'm still on the fence here, I guess.
The movie didn't even have the sense to have Marty and Melissa walk up to him at the end and say, you know what? You really changed my mind. It turns out you're all right, kid. They didn't even give you the Karate Kid ending where Johnny Lawrence now respects him or whatever. They just get the last thing we see of his friends is them just gasping in horror at the fucking shit he's done to their reputation, and fucking Melissa looking at Marty going nobody's flicked my bean in a while. You want to get out of here?
I don't know, guys. I think I might have to go with the Christian music. That thing they played at the end of Kenny G falling down some stairs was pretty fucking sweet. Oh no, y'all. Oh no. Help me, catch me.
It was quite catchy.
Circulatory breathing. That's how I keep
right.
playing while I fall downstairs.
Now, obviously, none of our thumbs bend in a way that would properly assess the overall shittiness of this movie. So rather than trying to sort this out with typical rating scales, I will simply ask you this. How many of you are going to leave this record today and shoot up heroin?
Well, I've still got the 12-year-olds in the closet, and they do knock quite a bit. We'll have to edit that out. But, if Heath's done, we can... I'm going to say two.
Get him on the horn. Get on.
Almost.
Well, for me, if by heroin you mean listen to Barry Manilow and masturbate, then yes.
Oh,
Then yes. That's
exactly.
why I took my belt off. It was confusing. I could see why you would think the other thing. No, I was going to masturbate and listen to Manilow.
You're going to make Vane stand up somewhere anyway. And well, that's going to do it for our review of Rocket's Your Decision.
Vanes.
That's not going to do it for the episode just yet because we still need to reel you back in for next week. So Eli, tell us, what's on deck?
Mormon Movie Month.
Yes.
And we're going to start with Saturday's Warrior, a Book of Mormon musical. We got so many good submissions for Mormon movies that we're going to do all of June. We're doing Mormon Movie Month. We've got some amazing ones lined up, but the first one is a musical about what it's like to be more, I don't know, it looks crazy. I can't wait.
Now, it's very interesting. I couldn't find a preview for the one that we're going to be watching, which is the 1989 version, but apparently this movie was remade this year. And I did find the preview for that.
But the old version, I'm told, is much, much worse / better, so that's the one that we're going to be
So
doing.
if you're going to watch along with us, look for the 1989 version. Please don't subject yourself to the one we're not going to be making fun of.
And we'll put the link up on the Facebook page and on Twitter
Yeah,
as well.
of course.
I'll just be reviewing the Book of Mormon, the Broadway musical. So if anybody wants to see that and listen along, it'll be...
Yeah, maybe we can do that to close it all off there. No, we can't, because
No.
that's actually fucking
It's awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So with all that to look forward to, we're going to bring episode 41 to a merciful close. I was trying to get it quick. Once again, a huge thanks to all the Patreon donors that help make the show go. If you'd like to count yourself among their ranks, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/godawful and thereby earn early access to every episode. You can also help us a ton by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes and by sharing the show on all your various social media platforms. And if you enjoy this show, be sure to check out our sibling shows, The Scathing Atheist and The Skeptocrat, available on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever else podcasts live. If you have questions, comments, or cinematic suggestions, you can email godawfulmovies@gmail.com. All the music used in this episode was written and performed by Ryan Slotnick of Evil Giraffes on Mars and was used with permission. If you like what you hear more by following the link on the show notes for this episode. Thanks again for giving us a chunk of your life this week. For Heath Enwright and Eli Bosnick, I'm Noah Lugeons, promising to work hard to earn another chunk next week. Until then, we'll leave you with the Breakfast Club close.
Mr. Big rocked a little too hard on the song To Be With You during a live show in 1992, and it caused the apocalypse.
Jeff's penis was never heard from again.
Tara Fawcett fit Marty into her like she was putting together IKEA furniture.
Sweating her away.
I'm the one who wants to be with you. I'm the one.
Salvation isn't a problem. God, this line is not worth going back for 3 times.
You bring your phone everywhere. Work, school, the movies. Now you can bring it to an Xfinity store for an easy way to switch to Xfinity Mobile, a new kind of network designed to save you money. You can get up to 5 lines of talk and text included with Xfinity Internet at no extra cost, so all you pay for is data. It's never been easier to switch to Xfinity Mobile and keep the phone you love. Click here to see how. Sorry, I gotta take this. Restrictions apply. Limited to select mobile phones. Requires activation of a new line of Xfinity Mobile. Up to 5 devices per account. New Xfinity Internet customers limited to up to 2 lines pending activation of Internet service.